welcome to our video on sin and salvation and the role of Christ in salvation. Now, for this topic, we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about yourself, what church you go to, what you do, and then we'll get on with the questions.
Hi friends, my name's Tom. I'm the assistant pastor, or I'm in Anglican speak the curate at a church called All Saints in Woodford Wells. I've been there 3 years with my wife Sarah. We've got a little toddler Sophia, who's been keeping us full of joy and very tired through lockdown. And we've got another baby on the way coming in the summer who we're looking forward to meeting. And that's me.
Awesome. Wow, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, we're excited and terrified.
Yeah, I bet. Awesome. So we're going to delve right into this topic, a very meaty topic. So the first question is, we're talking about the role of Christ in salvation. It's obviously huge, but I guess the main link is Jesus and salvation is atonement, okay, which I'm sure we're going to learn about. Can you explain what atonement is and why Christians believe it is necessary?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we're talking about the problem. We're basically saying, what's the problem? If God exists, if we're here, what's the issue? And atonement is a big word for trying to solve what the problem is. The Bible word for the problem is sin, but that's jargon. We don't, when we use sin in normal language, we often mean, like I had a croissant too many, or I had too much chocolate. And it doesn't really get us to what the Bible's meaning when it's talking about sin. So what sin is it's the gap between us and God. It's the problem that exists that Jesus came to fix. And my favorite definition of sin, of the problem, is basically our human inclination to screw things up. I try and be really kind to my daughter and I get really annoyed and I end up getting irritable. Or, I try and do the right thing and I end up doing the wrong thing. I try and whatever it is. We all know what it is. We all have it from time to time. We're trying to do our best, but the things that we're trying to do, that we want to do, we get wrong. And just like that has an implication in my relationships. If I snap at my wife, there's a problem there because she's annoyed at me because I've snapped at her. So when we do stuff wrong, when we fall short, when we mess stuff up, however hard we try, it hurts our relationship with God as well. It breaks that relationship, just as it breaks our human relationships. So atonement is all about how we fix that relationship. Just like when I snap at my wife, I need to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. Please, will you forgive me? Restore the relationship. Same thing with God. When we mess things up, when we fall short, when we need to apologize, atonement is how we fix the problem, how we close the gap between us and God that we've created by messing up in whatever way.
Okay, that's very clear. Thank you for that. So why do Christians believe that Jesus dying was enough for atonement? What is special about Jesus?
Completely. And this is the issue, right? If I snap at my wife, only she can forgive me. I can't snap at my wife and then say, it's okay, Tom, I forgive you, as if Sarah's got absolutely nothing to do with it. Because I've hurt her, she's the one who gets to forgive me. Same thing with you, Velisha. If I steal £5 off you, and I've got that, and I've got a fiver, I can't just say, it's okay, Tom, I forgive you. You're the one who gets to decide if you forgive me or not for stealing that £5. And so same with God. We don't get to decide if we're forgiven or not. We've hurt him, we've fallen short, we've messed things up, we've broken his rules, whatever. When we do stuff wrong, when we mess up, as we all naturally do, it's God who gets to decide if he forgives us or not, like any relationship. But the thing is that forgiveness actually costs. So say I stole that fiver off you. You can choose to forgive me, but if you do forgive me, you're £5 down. You've got to absorb the cost in yourself because I've taken it off you. And so with God, if he's going to forgive us, he has to absorb the cost. Now, if I stole £5 off you, you might say, I'll forgive you, but you've got to give it back. And so if I give you the fiver back, you forgive me, we're good. But Jesus tells a story in the Bible about how actually we're like someone who doesn't just owe £5, but owes millions and millions of pounds. Because God's completely perfect, completely good, not done anything wrong. We mess up every single day. So there's no way that just by trying harder, I can be good enough for God. I can say, I'll work as hard as I can. I promise I'll pay you those millions of pounds back, Velisha. But we both know there's no way I'm going to be able to earn enough to pay you back. Same with us and God. However hard I try, however good I try to be, however much I work at it, I'm sinful. We all are. We all have this inclination, this tendency to mess things up. And so however hard I try, I'm never going to be good enough for God. I'm never going to be perfect. He's so much better than me. So the only way we can fix the
Mm.
relationship isn't just by me trying harder. He's got to forgive me. He's got to say, okay, I recognize there's a gap. You're trying hard, you're getting up to here, you know, Mother Teresa might be here, Hitler might be down here. I've got up to here. But there's no way I'm getting all the way up to the sky where God is. I can't be that perfect. So God has to forgive me the gap. But the thing is that just like if you forgave me millions of pounds, you'd have to absorb the cost. You'd be millions of pounds down. God forgives us. And so he chooses to absorb the cost in himself. And that's what's happening on the cross when Jesus dies. The cost, the consequence of our broken relationship with God is that we're spiritually dead. We're all physically alive. We're walking and talking and breathing, but one day we're going to be physically dead. We'll go into the grave when we're old. Same with God. We're spiritually dead. We've broken the relationship with God. And so we're actually cut off from him. And while I might be physically alive, I'm not spiritually alive. And so what happens is God comes down, and on the cross, he dies my death. He dies the death that I deserve to die for all the things that I've done wrong. And he absorbs the cost, just like you'd have to absorb the millions of pounds in order to forgive me. God dies my death. He pays the cost on the cross. So that's why it has to be Jesus. That's why he had to die. God's the only one who can forgive me because I've sinned against him. He has to die because that's the cost. That's what he has to absorb in order to be able to forgive me, because that's what I've done wrong.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that answer. You've made that very, very clear. And hopefully you guys understand why for Christians, Jesus is the person to bring about atonement. So thank you for that. The next question is, some people might find this belief about Jesus atoning for people's sins weird, as people should pay for their own wrongdoing. So you might have touched on this already in your previous answer. What is your response to this, if you could elaborate?
Completely. Yeah, so there's always two people in any relationship, right? There's me and there's whoever I'm in a relationship with. Here it's us and God. And so if I mess that relationship up, sure, I've got to try and put it right, but it's down to the other person to forgive me. And so the question here is, are we capable of doing what's necessary to make it right with God? Now, if I owe someone a £5, I can probably find the £5 and pay them back. If I owe them millions of pounds, I might never be able to pay them back. There are some relationships where we can repay it and we can say, you know what, I've messed up, but I can get there. I can fix it and make it right. There are some relationships where we have to go, I've messed up so badly. I've betrayed you so much. I can't make it right. Please, will you forgive me anyway? And our relationship with God is like that. I can try as hard as I can, but I'm never getting higher than here because I can't be perfect. And God is perfect. So there's always going to be this gap between how good God is and how good I can be, no matter how hard I try. And the whole question of atonement is, how do we bridge that gap? How can I down here know God up there? And the only possible way is for God to come down to me and to bridge the gap himself. So that's why it has to be Jesus. And that's why, as hard as I can try, I can't fix it. And that's what being a Christian is all about, is recognizing that no matter how hard I try, I can't be perfect. So I've got to have God bridge the gap for me, because I can't do it myself.
Yeah. Amazing. Wow. So what does salvation mean to you personally now? What does that look like in your life? How do you teach about it? What does it look like for you personally?
For me, it means security, right? When I was first dating my wife and we were starting to work out if we liked each other or not, there was this question like, does she like me? Do I like her? Are we going to go out? And then when I proposed, I was like, will you marry me? Is she going to say yes? Is she going to say no? We didn't know if we were going to be together forever, or if we were just figuring it out for a little bit. And there was that question, does she like me? Does she not? Now we're married and we've got kids. I don't have that question or insecurity. We've committed to each other. We're married. I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry or wonder if she's going to be there or not. I know she's going to be there. Same with God. I can wake up every morning and I can say, thank you, God, that I can't screw up so badly that you're going to abandon me. There's nothing I can do to stop God loving me. Not because it's not down to how high I can go, how hard I try. If God says you've got to get up to there in order for me to love you, I'd have to be working all the time to get up there. Because God said, you can't get up here, but I've come down to you. Because God's paid the difference, because God's absorbed the cost, because Jesus has died on the cross for me, I am so secure in God's love. And that gives me a great base to do everything else from, because however badly I mess up, I can't lose his love, because he's paid the price. So it's security for me. It's wonderful.
Wow, amazing. Now, we know that the holy book for Christians is the Bible. What Bible verses was most helpful in forming your view on salvation?
Yeah, so in Romans chapter 5, verse 8, Paul's writing a letter to the Christians in Rome to tell them about Jesus. And Romans 5, verse 8, he says, God demonstrates his love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. And what he's saying is that even when the relationship with God was broken, you know, even when, in our analogy, I'd stolen millions of pounds off you, that's the point that God went and died for me. I didn't earn it. I didn't deserve it. In fact, he'd have been within his rights to say, get lost. I can't believe how much you've fallen short. I can't believe all the bad things you've done. But at the point where I had shown him the finger and gone my own way, he died for me then, so that I could be forgiven, so that he could close the gap, so that I could come home and be in relationship with God. So for me, it's that security of knowing that if God's closed the gap by dying for me and absorbed the cost before I'd done anything for him, how great is it going to be now that I'm in relationship with him and trying to go his way?
Wow. So we've spoken about salvation and what that is, and atonement. Now, it could be a moment where someone decides, okay, I'm going to follow Jesus, or I acknowledge this atonement, this thing that he's done for me. To make it a bit more practical now, and to talk about how Christians live daily, we've looked at the role of Christ in salvation. What is the role of Christians in salvation? What do humans have to do to be saved, if anything? How do they stay saved? What is your view on all of that? What do we have to do as Christians?
Yeah, faith and grace are the same thing looked at from two different perspectives, right? Grace is God's undeserved love for us. So God loved me. I don't deserve it, but he died for me as a free gift. He paid the price. He absorbed it on the cross. He forgave me. And grace means he did that and I didn't deserve it. It's just a gift of love. So he did everything. Faith is, so that's like from God's point of view, it's grace. He's looking down, he's saying, I'm going to love Tom no matter what. Faith is how I receive that. Faith is looking at grace from my point of view. So I'm looking up at God and I'm saying, wow, you've done all of that for me. Thank you. So faith is not something that it's not something that I achieve. It's not something that I work at. Faith is choosing to receive the gift that God's given me. So at one level, I don't do anything. At another level, you know, I put out my hands, I take the gift, I say thank you. It's like if someone buys you a birthday present. At one level, what do you have to do to get the birthday present? Nothing. You've been given it. At another level, you do have to pick it up, take off the wrapping paper, say thank you. So faith, what we have to do to receive salvation is receive it, take the present, accept it. And that's what faith is. It's looking up at grace and recognizing it's a gift. Great.
Yeah. Wow. That's so good. Awesome. So we have one more thing, which is a statement. I'm simply going to ask you, or I'm simply going to say the statement, and I want you to tell me whether you agree or disagree and elaborate on that. So the statement is, if Jesus paid the consequence for sin, there's no incentive for people to be good/not sin. Do you agree or disagree, and why?
Wonderful. If your mum loved you and raised you and gave you everything, when you're 18, you're already sorted. So you can go off and you never have to speak to her ever again.
Okay.
It's the same kind of nonsense, right? You know, when I left home, I never have to buy my mum a present. I never have to give her a hug. I never have to say, Mum, I love you. I never even have to go and visit her because I live somewhere else now. Am I going to? Of course I am. Of course I'm going to ring her up on her birthday. Of course I'm going to give her a hug. Of course I'm going to go visit. Not because I have to, but because she's given me everything. Same with God. I don't have to. God's done everything for me. But of course I'm going to, because I'm responding to his love. Right.
And you love him, I guess. And so you're saying out of result of your love for that person or for God, you decide to live good or without sin. So
it's as silly, that statement to me is as silly as saying I don't need to ring my mum anymore because she's already raised me and given me everything I need. That's silly.
That sums it up pretty well. Awesome. Thank you so much, Thom. We appreciate all the answers that you've given us. And I hope you guys have taken something from this video. We'll see you on the next one.